Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a 9-game NBA slate for you. Before I get started, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It helps the channel a lot. I really do appreciate it. When we're looking at this slate, we have a pretty extensive injury report, so we got to look at that. We also have some really up-tempo games like Utah, Atlanta, and Golden State, Washington, and we also have some really low-tempo games like the Pelicans and Knicks and the Cleveland Dallas game. So this slate's going to feature some interesting games here, but I do think we can probably find some value, even though it doesn't seem like there's a ton. Uh, the most expensive good plays are also not really all that bad either. So we do have a lot of probable tags that you'll see. Doncic and uh, Giannis are both questionable here on DraftKings, but they're both probable and likely to play. So, with that said, let's get into injury report here for the Mavs. There's no injury reported other than Doncic's probable tag. For the Cavaliers, Thompson is out. He's still out with a suspension. For the Nets, Cam Thomas is doubtful and Ben Simmons is out. For the Magic, Banchero and Isaac are both questionable. Obviously, if Banchero were to miss, that could open up some value here from the other forwards that come off the bench, like Wagner and potentially Isaac, if Isaac was to actually play. For the Warriors, there's no injuries to report here. For the Wizards, we have Abdija, Kispert, and Shemet all questionable. Kolobi and Livers remain out. If any of those guys miss, that would definitely open up some other kind of cheap value plays, but they would definitely carry some risk. But they do have a tougher matchup there as well, but they have a high scoring game potentially. For the Jazz, Porter is out. For the Hawks, Young and Okongwu are out. Obviously, with Trey Young being out, that's going to boost DeJounte Murray and Bogdanovich as their fantasy output should be way up higher. Looking at the 76ers, we have Embiid and Covington out. Obviously, those guys have been out for a while. For the Celtics, there's no injuries to report. For the Pelicans, we have some definite issues here with both Williamson and McCollum both being questionable, and Alvarado and Daniels are both out as well. So that gives some utility to Jordan Hawkins and Trey Murphy, but if and also Ingram for that matter. But if Zion were to miss, that would boost Valanciunas, Jones, Nance, and others. So we have a lot of potential there, including Najee Marshall. That would have a lot of potential there if we end up getting those guys ruled out. For the Knicks, Hartenstein is questionable, and then Randall, OG, and Robinson are all out still. I do expect Hartenstein to probably play today, but he is questionable at this point. Looking at the Spurs, Barlow remains out. For the Timberwolves, we have Gobert questionable. For the Pistons, who we have Grimes is questionable and Sasser's out. Um, uh, Stewart is probable today. Now, Grimes had a big game yesterday, so we'll have to wait and see if he gets to play today or not. He could potentially be in play, though his prices come up. For the Bulls, Levine, Williams, and Craig are all out. Then we're going to look at the Hornets with Ball, Williams, and Nick Smith Jr. out. And then for the Bucks, Middleton is out. So hopefully those injury report will stay relatively similar, and we'll get the information on the questionable tags that could definitely help us later in the slate. So we're going to go ahead and start with our top play overall, who's the most expensive of my favorite plays, and that is DeJounte Murray for Atlanta. He is also a core play. Uh, Obviously, his price has come up a little bit, which isn't perfect, but with Trey Young out, he's going to get all the time, minutes, and usage that he can handle. He'll shoot 20 plus shots in this game, and he'll have the opportunity for double double as well, and even a triple double if he goes for it. He has a lot of upside. He's got as much upside as anybody on the slate. Obviously, his price did come up a lot already because they knew the Trey Young injury, but he's still in play today at this price. Looking at Vucevic for Chicago, he has played very well lately. He's been over 40 fantasy points in 8 of the last 9 games he's played. The one lone game was against Cleveland, and I typically just ignore Cleveland games because that's usually a tough matchup for big guys, and just in general fantasy wise because that's a slowdown game. So I look for him to have a nice up-tempo, upside game here against Detroit, who doesn't play much defense and gives the Chicago Bulls a lot of opportunity to have to stuff stats. So he's definitely in play today. He's very close to me a core play, and I actually like that he has power forward and center today. So you can kick him in that power forward spot because we have some other centers that look really nice as well. DeMar DeRozan for the Bulls is also in play now. He's been a little bit more inconsistent than he typically has been, but I hopefully think that he can get back on the track. He hasn't been scoring bad fantasy points, but it does kind of rely on them being in a pretty close game near the end, which is really what it should be today. So I think he's got a lot of opportunity to have a big game here. Looking at Porzingis oopsie, for Boston, he also has that power forward center play here on DraftKings. He's been a little bit inconsistent the last few games, but it's hard to dislike him with Embiid out for the 76ers. So he's had two sub 30 fantasy point games the past three. That's mostly matchup stuff in this game. He should have a lot of opportunity to be a bigger factor in the game. And Boston's been playing very well, so it has been a little bit whichever guy gets hot each individual game, but I think he's going to have a lot of opportunity in this one. Look at Kobe White for Chicago. He's somebody I really like today. He's played well with Levine out, though his price is up. He does need 37 fantasy points to pay off here. He's a bit of a GPP play, just because he does carry that lower ceiling or lower floor risk, which some other guys in this price range don't pull. Looking at Jarrett Allen, he's one of those type of guys that has really good upside here. He's got as much upside as anybody at center position, only he's also got a pretty good price and then a plus matchup. I really like his upside on this matchup. He has had a really monster game against Dallas earlier this season. I don't expect him to get those rebounds again, but I do think he can get the 20 regular points and then hopefully get a double-double out of it, which would get him where we want. So I think he's got a lot of potential to be a solid play on the slate. He's very close to being a core play for me as well. Draymond Green is squarely a GPP play today, as he's been a lot of up and downs lately. His minutes have been sporadic as well, and that does tend to happen to him because he is a emotional player. With that said, he has that 7x upside anytime he comes and plays, especially in really plus matchup against Washington. He's also played better on the road fantasy wise. Actually, he shot the ball better and he's scoring more actual points, which gives him more opportunity for double doubles and triple doubles. So if he can play like he has played throughout the season, he should be okay. But he definitely carries a lot of risk. He's a GPP only play. Bogdanovich for Atlanta is in play today, and he's going to get a nice boost with Young out. The question is if he's going to get how much his usage is going to rise here. He typically gets in the mid 30s fantasy wise, but they already priced him in for that. So he's not a must play, but he's still a solid play on the slate, and he looks like a decent option here. AU Desanmu is in play today for Chicago. Now he has played very well since in 10 of the last 11 games. He's been only under 27 fantasy points in two of those 11 games. He's also had quite a few 35 fantasy point games, and I think he's got a good matchup here, and he's going to play 35 minutes, probably around that at least, and that gives him a lot of potential to have a solid game. And if we ignore that Cleveland game, he's very close to being a must play on the slate, but I do think he's a bit of a core play, so he's definitely worth looking at today. He definitely has a little bit of risk, but not as much as a lot of other players in his price range. Looking at Alex Caruso on his team, he definitely carries a lot more risk as he's got a little bit more of a boomer bust mentality to him. He's a GPP play because at his price, he needs 26 fantasy points to pay off, and he's going to get somewhere between 22 and 33 fantasy points in this one. The problem is he needs 26 fantasy points to 5x, so he's basically a coin toss of which side of that coin he'll be on, but he is a pretty solid play most of the time when he gets that good opportunities, and this is a good matchup for him. He scored 24 fantasy points last time he played them, but I expect him to play a few more minutes with the injuries to the team and the potential for this game to stay a little closer. And then finally, we're going to talk about Missick sorry if I'm butchering the name, for Charlotte. Now, he's been playing about 19 minutes in the last 5 straight games. And he's a big time GPP play here, but he has some upside as he's done decently well in those games, as you can see. 23, 17, 17, and 28 fantasy points in those games. He's getting some decent amount of shots, and he's getting some rebounds and assists, which are helping. And so he definitely draws some potential here. If he can get double-digit points, he can probably pay off here. He's definitely a risky kind of Hail Mary type play, but as long as his minutes continue to rise, he should get some more opportunity to have a solid potential here. With all the guys out for the Hornets, he's going to have the opportunity. So he's definitely high risk, but he definitely has some reward potential. With that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.